Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, shout out to BoxingScene.com. Boxing Scene wrote a really lengthy piece on heavyweight prospect Jarrell Big Baby Miller. He'll be fighting this weekend on Showtime. He's facing tough journeyman Fred Cassie. So this is for Jarrell. I would say that at this point in his career, this represents definitely a step up in competition from the last couple guys he's fought, but definitely the biggest fight for him since the draw with Joey DeWaco. So with that being said, Jarrell's still fighting his way up the ranks, and before I get into what was in the article and breaking that down and then going on my thoughts, let me say this about Jarrell. I think the jury is definitely still out on him as a fighter. There's obviously the weight. That's a big thing with Jarrell. Weight is a huge question mark, and how he can maintain that over the course of his career. So that's number one. Number two, right now his record really, and the guys he has on it, just really none of the names really jump out at you, especially the last couple of guys he's fought, being Donovan Dennis and Nick Guerra. So just guys to really build the record up and make him look good, like any other fighter. But still, he's a prospect, and he's building his way up. So I think for me, the Cassie fight represents something for him that is going to be, definitely an interesting fight, because he's been there with good, tough fighters. Guys we know of. Had to draw Chris Arreola. Had a hard fight with Amir Mansour. Has also fought Dominic Brazil. Many people think he even won. I've heard Mr. Boxing today, who honestly, when it comes to heavyweight boxing, his word to me, and when it comes to heavyweight boxing, I put over just about anybody, because this guy knows the heavyweight division in and out. So I haven't watched the fight, but I'll take his word for it. Cassie fought Brazil, as Brazil was going to come up in. Apparently, according to Mr. Boxing today, Cassie won. He thought he won that fight. So clearly, when you look at Cassie and you see 18-5 on the record, he might have 5 losses, but he's been in there with tough opposition, and it's kind of like what I like to call Adrian Granado factor. Because Adrian Granado is a good fighter. But nobody thought he'd be a mere imam, but he had been battle tested against good guys already. So when a guy has been in there with so many other top level guys, and he fights another guy, sometimes because he's already been so battle tested, that he might just have the performance of his career. And if Jarrell isn't prepared for this fight, I think that is what could happen with Cassie. Now, one thing Jarrell does have going for him is that Cassie is not a big puncher, and because Cassie's not a big puncher, I think Jarrell can have the confidence to take some of his shots and deliver his own and get into exchanges. And obviously, if that happens with basically any heavyweight out there, they'll probably get flat, because Jarrell Big Baby Miller has a lot of weight behind those punches, has a lot of power. And yeah, man. So here's what the article. Here's what some of the things that his coach, his coach and Jarrell said about boxing. Dimitri Salita, who's his coach / co-promoter. I'm not gonna read you the whole quote because it's really long, but he basically said this in the last part of the quote. He said, "I'll go far enough to say that Jarrell Miller has all the ingredients to become the face of boxing." And then Jarrell, in regards to himself, says, I quote, "I'm that guy. I'm the guy that people never saw coming. I feel like it's just a matter of time. The more people hear me, the more people talk to me, they go and say that kid is the real deal." He then goes on talking about how basically, how he's how he's charismatic and how he's calling these opponents out. And honestly, look, it's 17 fights in, and I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the person to put a label or crown the next guy before they've really proven anything. But let me say this about Jarrell Miller, because I think for people who do follow boxing and have seen Jarrell Miller, not enough people are saying this, and it is fact. I do believe that this is a fact. Jarrell Miller still has a questionable resume, no doubt about it. Jarrell Miller definitely still has to prove himself. He has to improve on keeping his weight on point at all times, and honing in who he is as a fighter. But he has two of the three traits of a great, marketable, big time heavyweight, and that's number one. He has power. Jarrell has really good power. A lot of guys from Brooklyn, Shannon Briggs, Riddick Poe, Mike Tyson, those Brooklyn heavyweights always seem to have good power. He's no exception to that rule. He has good power. I mean, I've said it in other videos before. When you look at Jarrell Miller, he looks like one of those guys when you go to a prison who's in the yard just doing bench presses all day. That's what he looks like. The guy is big, and it's scary looking at times. But so he has the power. Outside of the power, he has charisma, which is, I think, for any marketable heavyweight that becomes a star in boxing, you need to have charisma, because obviously casual fans that don't follow boxing on a regular basis, and they might not appreciate the sweet science as much as someone else. They feed off that hype. Guys who trash talk. Think about the guys that we know to be big money makers and big names in the sport. Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather. These guys, Muhammad Ali. These guys all talked a lot of trash, but they all backed it up in the ring at some point. So Jarrell has those characteristics. I think for him, it's just about validating what he's saying about himself, which is beating opponents. I think this Cassie fight is a good step in the right direction for Jarrell. If he can beat him, then that should lead. Honestly, this is just me. I think after the Cassie fight, and I told my friend, shout out to Cliff, I told my friend at the people who promote Jarrell, at Golden at Greg Cohen Promotions, I really want to see the Trevor Bryan fight, and Jarrell and Trevor Bryan seem to be willing to make that fight. I think both of them are, when we hear Jarrell talk about himself as the guy people didn't see coming, I think you could say that same thing about Trevor Bryan, because Trevor Bryan's a guy who, like Jarrell, is very charismatic. Trevor Bryan is a guy who is not afraid to talk some smack, and Trevor Bryan has a slightly better resume right now than Jarrell, but I think that's a fight where we can really begin to weed out some of these contenders in the division, because you can't have guys who are undefeated not fighting each other. I think at some point we need to weed out who's who, and they seem willing to make the fight. I think it's a great stylistic matchup. Jarrell being a big puncher with many question marks about his stamina. Trevor Bryan, a guy who is a game fighter who has been in the ring with tough journeymen and gone rounds with them, a guy such as Derek Rossi. So I would love to see that fight if Jarrell gets past this really stiff test in Fred Cassie. But we'll see, man. This Saturday, Friday, Showbox, Jarrell Miller will be fighting. I think he's one of the more marketable fighters in the sport, and yeah, man, I think he's got to validate what he's saying about himself. But I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops and fights with the rankings. But let me know what you guys think. Jarrell Miller, basically, he says that he's the next big thing in boxing, and he's what American boxing needs, what heavyweight boxing needs, and I believe that the qualities he has are what heavyweight boxing needs. But as a fighter, I like him, but I still would like to see him get some better opposition, and I think this is a good step for him. So if he validates that by beating some better opposition, I think he is what American boxing needs as far as the qualities he has and his charisma and things of that nature. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you could love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.